I tell people all the time, you're in control. Like, you're in control of what you put out into the world. I deal with it and unpack it very easily. I put into the world what I'm willing to share, and I don't what I'm not willing to share. And too many people get caught up in the game. They want likes, they want followers, they want the blue check mark. And what usually does well? Kids, family stuff. But as a private person, that's not something I'm willing to share. On the flip side, I'm willing to be the most intellectually generous around everything that's ever worked for me. I think the thing that works for me is when I make a piece of content, I think most people, when they make content, say, what's in it for me? I'm gonna get likes, I'm gonna get a customer, I'm gonna get that blue check mark. I think the reason I have the career I have is from the first video I made about wine on YouTube in February 2006 to the stuff I put out today. My brain has always thought, why would anybody watch this? Like, why are you watching this? Like, why is this good for you? And for me, I have always lived under abundance.
I'm not going to talk about the wine company because I can spend the next half hour thinking about wine tax and you don't get it. You get it. Gift every day we wake up. Hey, wine tax? That's so fantastic.
Thank you.
Anyway, okay.
You know, I respect people's time. I don't have entitlement. I think I have to fight for it. And so I spend a lot of time reading my direct messages and my emails to try to figure out where the temperature is in the world and what are the issues and what are the opportunities, what do people struggle with, what have I never talk about anything I've never done. So I think one thing that's really worked for me is I don't talk about stuff I don't know.
Yes.
I never tell people to do something I haven't done.
Wait. Go to that because that's really, really unusual. You will not endorse or talk about anything.
I'm very narrow.
I love your recent article. I think I just read it where you talked about how people were endorsing NFTs that they didn't even experience.
It's crazy.
What is that? So
People,
talk a little bit about that.
It's this industry. I'll make a really interesting comment. You brought it up, and I've watched this industry from afar for a long time. I think the reason the industry is doing better, macro, is we've become less transactional. People are protecting their brand. They don't need the brand in every category to maximize the P&L. They realize if they make some sort of silly thing for short-term money, it might hurt their overall thing. That's how I've always thought. I've been very patient. I never do anything that can tarnish me. I really work on that. I think it's important. I just don't know how any level of money is worth you not putting your head on a pillow at night. It doesn't make sense to me. It's not how I see the world. And so I focus on that. I also think the world is abundant. I also am incredibly patient. You know, I spent the first 12 years of my career building my dad's business for him. I started my company at 34 years old in another company's conference room because we had no money. I was 34 before I ever made $100,000 a year. Like, you can accomplish a lot. Everyone's so anxious. Everyone wants it so fast. Everybody wants to keep up with the Joneses. They want to make it now so they can show or enjoy. Like, to me, enjoy the process of your career, not the money you make from your career so you can then enjoy it. Truth is, I really believe that I'm a bridge, right? I'm pulling equally, very aggressively from both sides, that I'm a human contradiction, that if you really watch a show and it throws people off as they get deeper into my content, that oftentimes I'm saying things that contradict themselves because the truth is they both live in real life at the same time, and it's about finding that cadence and balance to guide through. I am massively, at a global level, patient. But on a practical level and an execution level, I'm very fast, right? So it really is religion and church, right? Like at the highest, like at the theoretical, at the gray levels, I'm patient, long game. I'm aware that as long as I'm alive, I'm playing the businessman game, and it doesn't end tomorrow, and if it ends tomorrow, I don't know the outcome anyway because I'm dead, right? And so, but in real life, I understand it's a race, and the speed is a variable for success to me in a big way, hustle, and so the patience and speed are very much rubbing against each other, but it's like the diamond comes from that, right? Like, and so that's the thing that I think about. I find it very easy to do both. You have to understand, there's people that are both in practical and philosophical terms, and they have different outcomes. AKA, there's people that philosophically are not patient, they're impatient, and they're fast. and they look like the bad version of what I am, right? They're like hustlers, and they're like doing everything for themselves, and they're not patient. They don't care about the long game, and they're just gonna take, and they're just gonna take and take and take, and they're gonna take fast, and they're gonna gather, and I think that society, the game rewards them, and there's a lot of millionaires and billionaires that didn't do it the right way, and that's what I think they look like. Then there's a lot of people that are massively patient and slow. And those are the enormous amount of people that, you know, in a business context, not in life, they're probably some of the loveliest human beings that have ever been made because they're slow and they're patient and everything's just lovely, and let's just like sit on the porch and, you know, drink peach tea for the rest of our lives and like go slow. Just go real slow. Like let's sit and look at stuff. Like let's sit on the porch and look at stuff. Like a car just drove by. Great. Like, I mean, like that, you know, is not interesting to me either. And so that exists. So I actually think what I do exists a lot. I think it's the likable, you know, aggressive person, and that's, you know, they're out there, and there's a lot of winners that are good people. I really think that, and I think if you look at my analogies, the speed part is really valuable, right? Like if you're speedy and selfish and impatient, you know, I think the other thing about the lack of patience and fast, you don't have to be a bad person. I think it leads to mistakes, right? That's another variable layer here. You know, it's funny that my brain went that first narrative. Here's a second narrative. You're going fast, you're not patient, so you rush the outcome and you leave money on the table. You sold the company too soon. You weren't as profitable as you could have been because you missed things because you didn't see it because you weren't tactful. And so, you know, I think it has essence of strategy. You know, somebody once said to me about Vayner, Gary, you guys are so interesting. He was trying to zing me a little bit that we weren't strategic enough. He said, you're so interesting, but he's like, when you get into the house, I feel like a lot of times you guys just run through the glass window instead of opening the door. Like, it was a funny analogy. And then I looked at him and said, yeah, but we're gonna own all the homes. Like for me right now, the lack of accountability is why so many people are anxious. Accountability is an incredible human trait that leads to happiness. Yet, we've demonized accountability. We've demonized merit. We created entitlement because we decided to have an era of 9th place trophies. And we've created a lot of structures that have demonized losing when actually losing is foundationally phenomenal. And so for me, knowing how I'm gonna make an iPhone game, or build in the metaverse, or do children's books, or do an animation show on a streaming service around the trials and tribulations of accountable ant, if I can affect a generation to think of accountability as cool versus the current generation that wants to point fingers at everything and never point a thumb at themselves, I can make the world a better place. So what I know is I've built one of the largest social media platforms in the world off of no distribution in real world, all social. That's been fun, I like it, but I don't need, you know me, I don't need it. It's not what I want, it's the message that I want, and I've used myself as a vehicle. The IP allows me to make that 500x, and when I saw faces and I saw people understand, like, I've got 6 or 7 things I want to put into the earth in a different way. I want to show young men that you can build an empire and be kind, not a dick.